You're listening to the Street Smart Wealth Experience, show number 451, making your big idea a successful reality. Everything starts with an idea, even you, wink, wink, right? How often do you make or even attempt to make your ideas a reality? This is so critical, so very important to your success. So, what one big idea comes to mind right now that you would love to make into a reality? Think about that for a minute. Years ago, I heard a podcast by James Altucher. Can't remember what the name of the show was, but you can probably Google his name to this day. And his advice was every day to write down 10 ideas, just to get a simple notebook. And I have mine here, which says, next great idea. I just happened upon this at the start of 2024 when I was going through and selecting a new journal for the year and going through and cleaning out. And I came across this and I thought, wow, I'm going to use this year to revisit that concept of doing every single morning or every single day, which is to write down 10 ideas. Now, these 10 ideas can be on anything. They don't have to be topic specific. They don't have to be the same every day. They can change constantly, right? And 10 is just a number. So if you don't have 10 one day, that's okay. Write down 5, write down whatever comes to mind. Or if you have 15, write down those. This is just a starting point. Then after 30 days, the goal is to review and then begin to notice the patterns that show up. Begin to notice the ideas that you keep repeating day after day after day, or maybe not every single day, but go through and review and find the top 5 or 10 that come up continually, and then circle those. And then write those down on a separate sheet of paper, and then sit with those ideas and go internal. Sit in the silence a little bit, think about those ideas, think about what it might mean to bring those into reality. Think about all of that. And then as you look through those, come up with which ones truly resonate with your inner being. Now, I have a handout for this. You can go to streetsmartwealth.com/big idea. streetsmartwealth.com/big idea and get my worksheet, which will recap this. So if you're driving, you're walking, or you're in a situation right now where you can't write all this down, just revisit that. It'll be in the show notes and you can download that worksheet. So I started this way back when. I'm trying to think, it was probably a decade ago, honestly. I know I was living in Ventura at the time, and I've been in Scottsdale for 7 years. So I started this at least a decade ago, and I started it as part of my morning journal practice and my daily thought download. And then, like so many things, it got away from me. I quit doing it. I went on to different things. But when I came across this little notebook in my stack of journals, next great idea, I thought, I'm going to use this. And I've been percolating on this for a while. Like anything, this thought had come back to me as I was doing my planning in November and December of 2023, as I was really closing out 2023, opening 2024, and setting some big goals and some big intentions for myself. I wanted to revisit this, and then voila, this little notebook showed up. And it was kind of funny as I reflected back on what came out of that original practice for me over a decade ago is I launched directsalesbootcamp.com, which is still a program that's out there today. It's still a very simple 30-day program. You can go to directsalesbootcamp.com and learn more about it. It's a 30-day program really designed to get those who are new in network marketing or direct sales, or who are ready to relaunch, into the daily action steps, very simple daily action steps and habits that it takes to be successful. And then from that, I launched Direct Sales Online Social. I can't remember the exact name of it. Direct Sales Online Coach. I think it was DSOC, Direct Sales Online Coach. Anyway, that morphed into Social Media Backstage Pass, which ultimately morphed into my streetsmartwealthacademy.com site and program that I have today. Because, like anything, I launched with one direct sales online coach. That went extremely well. As time went on and things grew and I grew and platforms changed, I did a kind of a sub piece of that as social media backstage pass when I first moved back to Arizona and was doing a lot with BNI and doing a lot with real estate agents, and kind of not wanted to move away from network marketing, but needed to incorporate more than just network marketing skills. I built that program. And then over time, I realized that was very difficult to keep up with the how-tos of each social media platform. Now, here's the thing with that. Some people might look at that and think that was a failure. Oh my gosh, it wasn't. First of all, I helped a lot of people through that. I helped myself through that. And I certainly made some great income through that. And then again, that catapulted me to Street Smart Wealth Academy, my current business program that's designed not just with social media tips and skills, but the mindset, the management, the marketing, all of the things that go into building a successful business, whatever that can be. And that's my streetsmartwealthacademy.com program today. So I really want to encourage you to sit down and start creating your list of your big ideas. And from that, we will begin working on who you have to become. You've heard me talk a lot about your future self, and I've got a whole episode coming up on the future self and a lot of time that we'll be spending on that over this next year, because as I've shared before, you can't get here from here, right? You can't get there from here, so to speak. You can't necessarily catapult yourself to where your goal is to go by staying as the same person that you are today. We have to typically change our thinking. We have to change our habits. We have to change those action steps. So we want to begin to do some work on that. So let me ask you a question, some things to really think about. What might happen for you if you spent the next 30 days or 2 months or 90 days or whatever, getting up each day and really thinking about what it is you would like to bring into your life? What if you started writing down those 10 big ideas that come to mind for you on a daily basis? Now, again, they don't have to be topic specific. This does not have to be 10 ideas for business, doesn't have to be 10 ideas for health and wellness, doesn't have to be 10 ideas for relationships, could be anything. It could even incorporate your to-do list for that day. If that's something that comes to mind for you, jot it down in your book. But what might happen for you if you just truly let loose for a minute and began to dream again, began to dream big again of those things that you would like to have happen and accomplish in your life? Now, one of the pros of doing this is that it truly does begin to expand your thinking, and it expands the possibilities of what you can imagine for yourself. It also gets those creative juices flowing, really and truly, because you'll watch your mind really expand into some new and bigger and better ideas. And I think you'll find that your excitement and your passion for whatever it is that goal is that you're working toward, I think that you'll see that grow and expand within you as well. Now, I'm going to caution you for the cons of doing this too. And really, there's two big ones that come into play. One of them is what I call negative Nancy. Okay. It's the little monkey that can sit on your shoulder and start trash talking in your ear and delivering all those doubts, all those fears, all those reasons why you shouldn't or can't or aren't capable or aren't good enough to actually put those ideas out into play, out into the universe. All your doubts and fears are going to come up. That's challenge number one, con number one, if you will, the cons of doing this. Number two is that you'll often find that your mind's going to go into how-to mode. You're going to come up with an idea, you're going to write it down, and then you're going to think, yeah, but I don't know how to do that. I don't know what all the steps are to doing that. Here's what I'm going to tell you about both of these. It's completely normal. It's completely normal. It's your brain, your primitive brain going into security mode, keeping you safe, keeping you sitting on the couch, eating bonbons and binge watching Netflix, right? Keeping everything very status quo and not upsetting the apple cart and not getting your emotions charged or using up excess energy or any of that type thing. All of this is completely normal. Here's how we push through and we overcome that. We know that this is going to happen, so we plan for it. It's so important to always plan for the obstacles and the challenges that are going to show up in your path anytime you take on doing something new or different. So know that it's going to happen, plan for it, acknowledge it. I just say, hello, Nancy. I knew you were going to show up. Thank you for your time and attention with me, but I'm taking you off on my shoulder because I don't need or desire to have you in my life at this particular time. I know you're just here trying to keep me safe, trying to keep me happy, trying to conserve energy, but that is the antithesis to where I desire to go and where I'm headed. That's just something I use. Come up with your own little mantra, your own little saying, have fun with it. I've shown before that I take that little character off of my shoulder. If you're watching me on YouTube, you'll see I place it right here in my hand. I visualize her, I talk to her, and then I flicker with my finger. Boom, I flicker right out of my life, or I just blow her away and get her out of my life. And there's something, first of all, there's something humorous about that. I typically laugh to myself and look around and think, gee, I hope candid camera isn't on me or nobody's watching this. But then I just have a good little chuckle and it lightens the whole mood and mode of everything. So I acknowledge it. I accept that it's going to happen, but I refuse to accept the lies that Nancy, that primitive brain, that character that wants to trash talk me, I refuse to accept the lies that she's wanting to feed me. Here's the thing. Your ideas are truly your GPS to your future self. They are. Think about that. Your ideas, everything that you write down here, those are your GPS to your future self. Now, some of the ideas you write down, you may look at those at the end of 30 days or whenever and think, maybe not today. You don't have to erase them. You don't have to draw a line through them. Just leave them there so that you can come back at any future date and revisit those. And what you'll often find is when the time is right, that idea will pop into your brain again. Now, when you go through those ideas, you want to make sure that these are your own ideas. And what I mean by that more than anything is make sure that it's not somebody else's voice talking in your head telling you what you should be doing, right? Depending on your age, like, oh, get your head out of the clouds, or back when many of us were looking at college or determining what our degree was going to be or any of that, it's like, that whole, how are you ever going to make money with that? So when I say make sure that these are your own ideas, I mean that truly. Make sure that it's not somebody else, not just negative Nancy, not just your own negative self talking to you, but make sure it's not a parent or a sister or a brother or a friend or a spouse or anyone else's chatter going off in your head telling you, oh, yeah, that'll never work. Come up with all your own ideas. And then again, after 30 days, I want you to go through and find the common denominators and then choose your top 3. You're going to first write, you're going to go out at the end of 30 days, you're going to write down the 10 that are most common. And then from that, we're going to choose 3. And then from that, we're ultimately going to choose 1 that we're going to put into action right now. Put the other 2 off to the side. Doesn't mean we're casting them away. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with those. There's not. But we're going to focus on getting 1 goal, okay, 1 big idea, and creating that into a reality. Then I want you to get a clean notebook or at least a clean piece of paper, or for sure, get that download, streetsmartwealth.com/big idea, where you'll see the steps to do this. We're going to pick that 1 idea. We're going to put it at the top of the page, and we're going to begin to brainstorm all the thoughts around what we think needs to happen to make this a reality? Everything, not necessarily the how, although you can include those in your brainstorming too. Just try not to get your mind wrapped too tightly around the how and get yourself into confusion mode thinking, yeah, but I don't know how to do that. But brainstorm all your thoughts around what needs to happen. What's the goal? What are the action steps? We're going to break those down into tasks. We're going to get those on the calendar. We're going to do all different type of things with those. And then from there, we'll begin to develop the how. But once we get those first thoughts brainstormed and out there, that's when we're going to start taking action. And again, I'm going to caution you to be aware of this and be prepared for this and expect this. This is where derailment, yet again, becomes natural. Your brain's going to want to begin to derail you, again, most often with the comparanoia, you're not good enough, who do you think you are? And then the second piece of it is, yeah, but what about the how? Here's how we make anything a reality. We set the goal. We create some clarity around what it is that we truly want to accomplish. So we have the goal. Maybe it's a program you want to create. I've mentioned before, I'm working on my lower toxic living. Okay. So my goal is to create a program and create a community around that. Then I'm going to work on the clarity piece of that. What is that going to consist of? Well, for me, I've already figured out there's different areas of there's different areas of toxic situations in our life. There's toxins in our food, our water, our environment. There's toxic situations and toxins in relationships, work environments. There's a lot. So I've picked the primary areas and I've got clarity around my messaging with that. I'm working on the clarity around who it is that I serve, who is looking for that content, that information. Once I have that, then I truly make the commitment. Okay. It's one thing to make a decision, and part of the decision involves the commitment to seeing the job through and getting it done. From there, as I mentioned, we start breaking it down into tasks. And we might, for me, this is going to be a year-long process, not necessarily a year to launch it. My plan is to launch it in the next 90 days, but I want to have a very clear written visual plan for the next year so that I'm not at the end of that 90 days struggling with what to do next. So I'm writing all that down into tasks. And then from those tasks, I create those action steps that complete each of those tasks. From there, I get that written into the calendar, scheduled into the calendar, because you've heard me say before, what's on the calendar gets done. And then it's up to me to create the consistency of every day looking at my calendar and those pop-ups that come up in my phone reminding me, and do the work. Simply do the work. Now, again, I'm going to caution you, don't overthink the how, and don't get started in the very beginning by researching to death how to get this done. You're going to learn best by simply doing. So I want to encourage you, and again, get the worksheet, streetsmartwealth.com/big idea. I'm going to encourage you to focus on asking yourself constantly, what can I do right now that I know how to do? And maybe it's creating that into tasks. And then from there, it's breaking it down into action steps and even writing down those action steps that you don't know how to do yet. That gets your brain into problem solving mode. Automatically, your brain's going to want to solve that. And over time, as you just begin taking action right now on what it is that you're going to accomplish, the how will begin to show up for the rest of it. So what can I do right now? And then what's next after that? And then what's next after that? You will find that as you get momentum going, your capacity to stretch and grow into each of those how-tos is truly going to expand. Now, again, prepare for the negatives. If we're prepared for the negatives, we know how to handle them. And here's another one. You're going to want to stop in this process. You're going to want to throw in the towel. You're going to want to quit, possibly hundreds to thousands of times. Here's the thing, though. Quitting is just a thought. That creates an emotion within you. Let that emotion just come and pass through. It's typically 90 seconds to process any emotion. It's not actually the emotion that we're afraid of. It's the fear of how we're going to feel and whether or not we can overcome it. But let me ask you this, what emotion has ever killed you? None, not one. If you're here listening to this, and I'm assuming you are, um, you've never died from an emotion. Can it hurt sometimes? Is it painful? Is it uncomfortable? In this situation, with all these different things that we're working on, for most of us, probably you listening, we're not working on a life or death situation. Okay. So there's no emotion that can kill us. It's probably going to create some discomfort within you to see this goal through. Discomfort is part of the process. You keep moving just by keeping moving. I mentioned, I think it was in the last podcast, that I am incorporating the Mel Robbins 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When I'm procrastinating something, even sitting down to record this podcast and video, which I have a tendency to do lately. I know I'm going to do it. It's on my calendar. It's popped up. I've taken a shower. I wake up, I get up, I suit up, I make up, and I show up. All those different ups. Okay, here I am, but that didn't stop me from walking around going, maybe I'll do it later this afternoon, or maybe I'll do it tomorrow, or whatever. No, I had to do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, do it. Okay. And I'm going to encourage you to do that too. You just must keep taking action until you figure it out. Everything is figure outable. There's going to be some fails along the way. Oh, well, just shrug. Oh, well, shrug. Learn to allow the failures, learn to allow the learning and the lessons that show up from those failures, and simply take another step. We just have to learn to reframe what the word failure truly means to us and what we're going to allow that to seep into our brain, into our thoughts, into our emotions, and make us feel about ourselves. We have to reframe the F word of failure. What has worked for others and what will always work for you too is just to get into action and to keep moving. You know, it's kind of funny. I've shared my story before. I launched my very first business in direct sales and network marketing. And I will say over and over again, because it's true, I was not an immediate success story. I'll never be written up in the network marketing hall of fame as a fast starter. One of the first things I was encouraged to do was make a list of everyone who I knew and go talk to them about my business. And I had some resistance to that. I really, truly did. And it was all made up in a bunch of different things, including what will people think? What will people say? I had a negative MLM blueprint. And at the same time, I was reminded over and over again that we're often cautioned, don't do business with family and friends. And then we launch a network marketing business, and that's the first thing we're told to do. What happened for me, though, is that, almost 6 years into my journey, moving along, talking to warm market, going to networking groups, building, new leads out of cold market, all of that, I found the internet, and the internet changed everything for me. And from the day I took my business online in October of 1999, I tossed away my warm market list and I stopped reaching out to anybody. Now, that's what I did. I'm not necessarily suggesting that you do that. I'm just sharing that's what I did. I bucked the warm market trend. I had tons of people who told me I was crazy, that it was a belly to belly business, that I would lose everything. This was back in 99. I would lose everything by taking my business online. Now, at the same time, I will say that I'm so grateful for my warm market, because had I not gotten over my fears and forced myself to take courage despite fear and talk to my warm market, I wouldn't have ever made it to the internet, because that's what kept me alive, because many of those people did say yes. A whole lot of them said no. You've heard my Mean Janine story where she laughed at me, but several said yes, including one very close friend who went on to build a very successful business. So I always like to share all the different sides to the story, because that's what creates the ultimate goal and the ultimate outcome. And while I did that, and I have no regrets for doing it, I knew that I wanted a different alternative. And that's what the internet offered for me and offers for you too. So I want to ask you, what would you do right now if you believed 100% that you would eventually, maybe not tomorrow, but you would eventually achieve your goal? What would you do right now? There's only one secret to success, and that is start and just don't quit. An idea becomes a reality only through action and creating something and maybe succeeding at it, possibly failing at it, and getting up over and over and over again and just not quitting. Every action step that you take will ultimately lead you to a new idea of another action step. And as you're brainstorming all your thoughts around your big idea, write down 25 ideas that you have to make that goal a reality. Write down 25 because that gives you a working inventory, if you will, some ideas to begin with. And as you begin taking those action steps, I'm going to encourage you to evaluate every step along the way. Ask yourself, what didn't work? What did work? And then move on to taking a new action step just by asking, what's next now? I want you to remember this. Thinking about a situation is not the same as doing. And a number of years ago, I was doing a coaching call in my network marketing business. It was our group call. It was our weekly group call. And myself and my upline had invited a couple of people to come on and be coached live about where they were struggling in their business. And I've never forgotten this because I had a gentleman on there who started just really going into, this just doesn't work. I've talked to everybody. I've done this, I've done that, blah, blah, blah. And I just listened to him. I let him go on for a couple of minutes. And then when he finished, I said to him, do you have your calendar handy? And he said, yeah. And I said, I want you to get it out and I want you to look back on the last week. How many people did you personally talk to about your business? Crickets. And he was like, well, I didn't talk to anybody last week. How about the week before? How about the week before? And I encouraged him, I'm like, I want you to look back over the last month and I want you to detail for me every action step that you took in your business. And there were none. And so what I really was coaching him on was realizing that thinking about your business, thinking about your big idea, thinking about action steps that you want to take, people you want to talk to, thinking about all of that is not the same as doing it. Stressing out, feeling frustrated, complaining about it, being busy with the thought of it is not the same as taking action. So be very careful that you know the difference between spinning your wheels and thinking that you're investing a lot of time into your business by thinking about it, by researching it, by reading information, by over-consuming, one of my big procrastination techniques that I've shared. Make sure that you understand the difference between thinking about your business and actually taking action in it. You'll know you're taking positive learning action, positive forward motion action, because you'll begin to see results. And as you keep doing it, you'll begin to see a lot of results. Some of those results are going to be wins, and some of them are not. Again, anticipate this, expect this, plan for this, and each time you run into a quote unquote failure, pat yourself on the back and just say, this is a win because it's a learning lesson for me and it's taking me one step closer to my goal. There's going to be some failures. There might be many failures. You might have those failures that turn out to be the exact opposite of what you ultimately want. But here's the thing. They will be there for you. They will always be there as a learning lesson, and they will be measurable. As I mentioned, social media backstage pass, direct sales online coach, so many of the different programs that I've launched over the last 20 years of building an online business, a bunch of those aren't in play anymore, but I learned so much from them and I got paid as I learned and grew. I made money on my failures, and ultimately you will too. Now, again, they weren't total failures. They served a purpose, And some of them aren't in play today, but that's okay. Action isn't necessarily a result itself, but it's somewhat, but correct action and measurable action is what really counts. Okay. So again, busyness and stressing out produces no results. If you aren't continually creating results to learn from, then you aren't taking massive action. I'm going to say that again. If you aren't taking action and creating results to learn from, you aren't really taking massive action. Ideas become a reality by approaching them, taking action, reapproaching them, taking another form of action, and never ever stopping. The more results you create, the faster you'll learn, the faster you'll grow, and the faster you will get to where you want to be. This is especially true, again, with the results that are fails. All successes are built on a pile of failures, really and truly. Talk to anyone who's had great success and ask them to list for you some of their failures. So again, we must reframe the word and the feeling that we get behind failure. I've learned to find joy and pleasure just in working on something, even if it doesn't create the results that I want. I always ask myself, what am I learning from this? So your homework is for sure, get the download, streetsmartwealth.com/big idea. And then what I want you to do daily for the next 30 days for sure is write down whatever 10 ideas come to you. At the end of 30 days, you're going to revisit and make note of the top 10 recurring ones. Make sure they resonate though. If you see something in the top 10 list, but it doesn't really resonate with you, move on from it. You don't have to X through it. Maybe it'll come back around later, but pay attention. From that 10, you're going to pick 3 and then spend a little time with that. And then ultimately you're going to pick 1 and you're going to take those action steps to write out that short plan. You're going to do that thought download, brainstorm all the ideas that you have for it. Okay. So start with everything that's obvious with that, the ideas that you have for it, and ask yourself some questions. What do you want for your life? What do you want in this next year that's stretching ahead of us? Doesn't matter when you're listening to this. I'm recording this in January, but it doesn't matter when you're listening to this. Tomorrow starts a new day. Today starts a new day. It starts a new year. It doesn't have to be a calendar year. What do you want for your life? Don't allow yourself to limit or judge. Just write down all those big ideas and all those big things and the little things that come to mind. And just keep writing until the page fills up. You can use some ideas. It would be nice if, and make a list of that. Here's my bucket list. Make a list of that. Here's what I'd like to accomplish in business. Make a list of that. And again, don't worry, you don't have to act on all these. We just want to bring them to the surface, get your creative juices flowing, get your energy flowing, and get it out there. Maybe it's before I die, I would like to, kind of like a bucket list. Here are my deepest and most secret desires. And if I wasn't afraid, I would create and make a list of that. These are the problems in my life I would like to solve. Make a list of that. These are ideas I've been ignoring or have forgotten all about or something from my past. Make a list of those. And then again, just have some fun. Go back through, make that list, create some dates around when you'd like to see some of these come into play, and then let's get busy. All right. So, and then ideally, we're going to repeat this every 30 days. Just keep going every day and then look back at the end of every 30 days and just see what you come up with. So that's it. I would love to hear from you. Certainly rate and review the show. That helps other people get it noticed. It gets put into their feed. That helps other people. And please let me know any way that I might serve you. You can go to streetsmartwealth.com. You can go to peakperformancehabits.com, set up a consultation call with me. You'll find all the links there because I would love to help you take whatever big idea that you have and put it into play. So until next time, remember this: hesitation never cashed a check. I will see you on the next show. Would it change your business at all if you knew exactly what to say online and offline about your business without annoying family, friends, and strangers? Join me for the KillerContentFormula.com 3-day challenge. I'll provide proven tools to overcome fears and limiting beliefs that keep you feeling stuck with what to share on social. We'll create your powerful impact introduction. We'll write your business story in a formula to share on social that attracts your ideal clients and doesn't turn anyone off. And you can use this formula over and over and over. No more stare, compare, and despair about what to say to grow your business. Grab the first 3 video trainings at KillerContentFormula.com. And let's create that rock star lifestyle business you desire.